What's good, everyone? So today I'm going to be talking about how I increased my vertical over a foot through my own personal programs. Let's get into it. I distinctly remember being in the 7th grade when I went up for a left-hand layup and something in my knee pulled. It ended up being Osgood-Schlatter's, and I was out for about a month. Just as today, at the time I loved basketball. However, at that time I really wanted to pursue it with a passion. And in that time period I felt very hopeless, not being able to do anything for a month. It was my first real injury. That being said, I was able to study other players, watch more footage from NBA players, and really start looking at highlights and see what I wanted to do with my career and what direction I wanted to go in. So during that month period where I was off because of my injury, I decided to do as much research as possible to figure out how to increase one's vertical leap. In 7th grade, I was about 5 feet tall, and at that point I decided by the time I was 5'6", I was going to be dunking. And I accomplished this goal all through my own personal training and my own personal program that took me 3 months to start and a few years to perfect. And I'm at the point now where I'm sharing it for other people in a way that allows them to experience results just as quickly and just as dramatically as I did. So it's been a couple of years since then. I'm not in the 7th grade anymore, and I am not 5 feet tall anymore. However, my vertical leap is still increasing as I find new workouts and new programs to implement into my own personal training and the training of my clients as well. So in today's video, I'll walk you through the journey with how I got from my 7th grade self being barely able to touch backboard to my current self being able to get my head over the rim. And just as a quick disclaimer, although some of what I'm going to mention can be labeled as scientific, this is all based on my personal experience and the experience of the people whom I give my program to. It is not to contradict anyone else or to copy anyone else in any way. This is all from my personal experience. This is all completely independent, and this is what I have seen through my training and the training of the people that I have trained as well. So the first thing that I got into was plyometric training, and I came across plyometric training when I was first working out with my dad, who was doing P90X, and there was a lot of military training movements involved and a lot of unorthodox calisthenics moves, which is body weight movements, because we didn't use a lot of weights in that program. There were some weights, but we didn't use a lot of weights, especially with legs. And we got into ice skates, we got into single leg jumps, a lot of exercises that required a lot of balance and explosiveness. And plyometric training, that's exactly what it is. It's body weight movements that allow you to maximize on your balance, your core strength, your explosiveness, and to improve your quick twitch muscle fibers. So for the first year of my training, I was completely plyometric training, no added resistance, a lot of box jumps, a lot of line hops, a lot of tuck jumps, a lot of single leg movements, unilateral and bilateral movements, all having to do with just my body weight and explosive movements that required me to push my comfort zone in terms of my balance, in terms of my stability, in my ability to land properly, and my ability to land and be able to explode right after landing, all those kinds of movements. You'll be able to find those whether on the Instagram page at MJ 2.0, on other YouTube videos, or in my program I get into a lot more detail about how this helps with your vertical training, how this allows you to jump higher. But just for the focus of this video, the first stage that I went through was plyometric training. That was the most important part. That is what I still incorporate today. The plyometric training is the basis of improving your vertical leap. And the best part about that is that it never gets easier because it's all based on how hard you push yourself. It's all based on how high you want to jump in the workouts, how hard you're going to push yourself. If you can walk, if you can stand up, you can still do the exercise. So anyone and everyone can do it, and it is the same difficulty for everyone in the sense that it's as difficult as you make it. The workout is going to be as difficult as you are willing to push yourself to be. Now, moving on from plyometric training, I also got into resistance training. So I continued to use my plyometric moves, my exercises, however, I added resistance. At the time, I got these things called skills bands, and what they are is they basically are resistance bands that attach to your hip and your ankle, and they pull your ankles to your hips, and so it causes resistance to straighten your legs. And straightening your legs is usually the force that you exert when you are jumping. You start in a bent leg position and then you extend out to a straight leg position. That's how you jump. And when there's added resistance to that phase, specifically the most resistance when your legs are the most straight, that is what's going to maximize on your results from your plyometric training, especially when there's more resistance, and especially considering that it doesn't hurt your joints as much because it's not added weight, it's just added resistance. When you add the resistance and you don't add the weight, you don't have joint issues that you would by adding a few extra pounds that might, make the landing a lot more difficult, and a lot more injury prone. Extending into my college career, I began weight training seriously. I weight trained a little before that for my legs, but not really. I got into it seriously in college. And I was obsessed with the results. I was obsessed with getting stronger, with having a stronger base foundation, with increasing my deadlift and my squat maxes. I felt really powerful afterwards. The only thing is when you increase your power and you weightlift as much as I did, what happens is that your recovery and your requirement for stretching and mobility becomes a lot higher because of how much more strain you're putting on your muscles. And you are not necessarily targeting the quick twitch muscles as you would be doing plyometric training. You can make squats more explosive so that it affects your quick twitch muscles more. You can decrease the range of motion for it to be less about power and more about the quick twitch fibers. However, it's difficult to really pinpoint that as easily and as accessibly as you would in plyometric training. I also mentioned that during the 7th grade time period, I was injured. The injury came from a lack of mobility and a lack of recovery and stretching. I never stretched, I never recovered, I never worried about that because I didn't think I had to. And of course, the older you get, the more important it becomes, especially when you train more and you train harder and you are in more physically taxing situations, especially in contact sports. Recovery and resting is just as important, if not more important, than the actual working out. Your rest, your sleep, your active and passive recovery are things that are going to completely decide whether you get stronger and whether you can jump higher and whether you can become a better athlete, or whether you're just breaking your body down and becoming more tired and becoming more injury prone. So the rest, recovery, your stretching, your active recovery, such as biking, swimming, mobility work, especially opening up the hips, opening up the hamstrings, your posterior chain, everything that tightens up when you do this kind of training, you need to really put more focus on keeping your body loose. When you work out, you break down those muscle fibers, you break down your muscles. You're not going to build them back up unless you rest, unless you recover, and unless you eat. You have to eat correctly. Nutrition is also a big part of it, and it's not starving yourself. Nutrition is finding the balance between eating what you like and eating what is good for you. And eating what is good for you does not mean cutting out everything that is not good for you. It also does not mean eating less than you should. It also does not mean eating more than you should. There is a gray area in which case you can find food that you enjoy, but it's also healthy for you. And there are ways for you to eat enough where it doesn't feel like you're stuffing your face, but also eat little enough that it doesn't feel like you're eating way too much and it doesn't feel like you're going over your calorie count. So you can find ways that allow you to fall right in the middle of this little green zone that allows you for your maximum recovery. It's pretty easy as long as you know how to do it. And I've talked about this before in other previous videos, but nutrition is definitely one of the most important things, as is rest and recovery. It's got to be something that you can sustain for the rest of your life. That's how you know that it's something that is helpful to your exercises, to your recovery, to your growth, and to your development as an athlete, and as just your personal health in general. The last and most important part is the consistency. This is the deciding factor between any person, any athlete, any team, any exercise, any program. It is all about the consistency. You have to be 100% dedicated. You have to actually put the effort in to really push yourself to be your best self, to push yourself to the next level, and to continue doing that even when it becomes difficult, even when you're not seeing results. To be able to listen to your body and consistently push it in the ways that it can take, and push it even more so than it can take sometimes, and then recover enough so that it can build itself back up again. Consistency is the key to success in anything. You've heard this a lot, but especially with working out and especially with my program, consistency is what's going to get you to that next level. It's what's going to improve your athletic ability beyond what you thought you ever could do. Consistency changes everything. And in my vertical program, my first program, because I have 2 volumes, the first program, the exercises and the workouts typically last around 30 to 40 minutes and 3 times a week. That's not that long. It's not that taxing. It's not that time consuming. It's something nearly everyone can fit into their schedule. 3 times a week for 30 minutes, that's 90 minutes a week. Sometimes I work out 90 minutes in a single day, and that's not to brag. It's just to say how effective you can be in such a short time period, how efficient plyometric training and how efficient this athletic training specifically is, and how accessible it is for you guys. So this is something that consistency will be a huge part of. It's something that you can't sort of let yourself get complacent on, especially with vertical training. And if you need help with that, if you need the guides, if you want my program, follow at MJ 2.0 on Instagram, DM that profile, and we'll get you set up with how you can learn to jump higher. I increased my vertical from 30 inches to what it's currently sitting at around 50 inches. It varies between a little bit under 50 to a little bit over 50. It depends how I'm training. It depends what's going on in my life. But I sit around an average of 50 inches now. The first 3 months after I shot up from 30 inches to 40 inches, so within the first 3 months of training, consistently, hard dedication, I gained about 10 inches. I've seen other people in my program gain around a foot. I've seen other people in my program gain 6 inches in the course of a month. There's a lot of progress to be made, especially when people are not used to this kind of training at this level, at this efficiency. So I've spent many years doing this. I've spent many years perfecting how to avoid plateauing, how to change the status quo, go against what you're typically told will make you jump higher, and this is how it will actually make you jump higher. This is actually effective, and this is proven with the people that have worked with me. I've not had any cases where this kind of training has not given you astounding results on your vertical leap and athletic ability and explosiveness in general. So this works across all sports. It is also a great training regimen for gaining muscle and burning fat at the same time for your lower body. So even if it's not just something that you want to increase your vertical leap on, it's something that is a fantastic, efficient workout for your lower body. So, like I said, follow MJ 2.0 on Instagram to get the free workouts. DM that profile so you can talk more about the program. And stay tuned for more videos. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and you'll be able to see more videos like this. Comment if you want to see any other kinds of videos. And we'll see you on the flip side.